there were moments where they were like, wait, hold on, why is this so close? Why is this so difficult? And I think that does come down to complacency, right? They kind of came into that one thinking they were 3-0. He said it himself, and Brav, they can't have that kind of mentality here. They slip at one time, Quadrant is going to pounce on it. They're going to take that opportunity. We saw that happen with Na'Vi. It can certainly happen again.
That's exactly right. We saw that happen, right? Yeah, Na'Vi takes the first round there on Streets, and right away, Quadrant roars back. They find their stride and really didn't look back after that. So couldn't agree more. Tough road, though, for Quadrant with the 2 best-of-7s. I think there might be a little bit of different bets placed if this is a single best-of-7. Let's not forget, Acend is undefeated here in the winner's bracket. And at least 4 of those will need to go to Quadrant, and then they'll have to do it all over again. It's going to be a marathon, and I can't wait to see it get underway.
It certainly will be a marathon.
CTF Bazaar, talk to me about Acend and talk to me about Quadrant's chances.
This is the perfect way to start for Acend. Capture the Flag Bazaar is their home ground. They've only ever lost it once in the entirety of HCS throughout European Halo. Quadrant have got it all to do here, and I'm sure Acend will be feeling confident as ever.
It's backs to the walls for Quadrant. The worst possible game type they could have asked for. And for Acend, they're on home ground.
That being said, if Quadrant were to take down Acend here, imagine what that would do for their confidence.
Shields up, weapons hot. Snipedrone is the man to kick us off.
And straight into Rockets as well. And I love this positioning. Can get grapple, can watch over shield. Rockets are above him if he needs to. But instantly we're seeing a Ruckus in the middle of the map.
Fight goes down, it's a brawl. Overshield's there to be grabbed. TchiK's going to be the first one to step out, pick it up, pop it into his chest. That's good from him. A great possible start here if he can string a few kills together. Snipedrone backing away. A few denial nades. Going to get away and escape with his life. But the Quadrant push, it's still a coming.
And I will say that Acend historically have been a little bit iffy when it comes to starting strategies, even on some of their best maps, and Quadrant perhaps taking full advantage of that here. Already have a flag run on the move, and they're going low. We saw J-Lings doing this a lot. We've seen North American teams doing this a lot. If you do it correctly, it can be very successful.
Acend are used to coming into LAN tournaments with expectations on a top 12, top 8. The expectations have been set here clear from the get-go. They're expected to win this. Does that bring added pressure?
It definitely adds pressure, but respectful. He said he's not feeling it. He said the team's not feeling it, and that is only going to bode well for their chances. Not only if they stop the flag, they're now trying to get a return, and they're running one of their own.
Flag sent home, and Snipedrone is about to punch home his first flag, completely uncontested. Purple strike first.
A great response to a very hot and fast-paced start from Quadrant. Could have been very different. If Quadrant had slayed out there when they were running it low, they could have taken the lead. They could have pushed Acend's backs to the wall. But that's what Acend do, Richie. Acend can turn maybe a bad situation into a good one. They recognized where Quadrant were running that flag, they overextended into the other area, and they made it count.
10 seconds to the next overshield. How do Quadrant respond then? TchiK staying alive in lockers. 2 kills have gone their way, but Sica stepping out for a moment. TchiK's caught unaware. Overshield is down, flag is out. If he can win this 1v1, which he does! They're in big trouble though. Overshield's there to be grabbed. It's being popped, but Lqgend is trying to stop this flag over by the pillars.
Massive kills from Sica to make sure that Quadrant are unable to run this flag easily. NURIX has to win this engagement, will do so, and the flag just about still alive. Sica, the last remaining player, once more.
NURIX gets it through the double doors. And looks as though Quadrant are about to answer back and tie us up 1-1 the flag.
NURIX with 7 kills. NURIX who's putting the flag in. NURIX who has finally woken up in this tournament. Where was he 2 series ago? It doesn't matter anymore because he's arrived, he's making a statement, and Quadrant look like a completely different team to what we saw earlier in this tournament.
I'm going to choose to wake up at any point in a tournament. Grand finals is definitely the situation to do it. He drops down, gets close to his teammate TchiK over towards Rockets. Snipedrone has thinned the herd though. It's been a trade. Rockets fired at the wall. It'll be enough to eliminate NURIX. And here comes the push from Acend once more. Through the double doors he passes. No shots received. Double kill for him with the Rockets, and he's punched a hole straight through Quadrant.
And they just fell in front of him at that point. Needs to have some support in this fight. Snipedrone's there, but arrives a little bit too late. This is the duo I was talking about when we came into this tournament. The Snipedrone respectful effect. They know how each other work. They've played with each other for years, and now they have a chance to run a flag together.
Snipedrone's been such a thorn in the side, such a sizzle in the spine. 2 players go down once more. but a spiker grenade will be enough to stop this flag from moving any further. Legends on hand, though, to get the touch and to keep on juggling. Quadrant remain 2 down. They're in trouble. 4 up for Acend.
2 down, and 2 of them have just spawned over towards Thruster Pack as well. So this should be a guaranteed cap, bar a miracle for some nades tossed across the over the top of the map, perhaps? No, 2-1, and Acend regain their lead, and quite rightly so with how they've just had that passage of play.
Lead restored. Worst possible news once again. Quadrant down to just 1. NURIX alone in the bar. The bar is closed. No serving drinks, no refreshments will come his way. How he needs teammates. Some assistance up there. Respectful's behind enemy lines once more, and he's got the kill onto TchiK. And NURIX in a 1v1, it's a trade, but that one favors Acend as Respectful's moving the flag once more.
And notice how effective it is, Respectful just pushing through those double doors. Yes, okay, he had rockets the previous time, but this time he had a very easy stroll through bottom middle and said, well, if you're going to leave the door wide open, why wouldn't I walk through it?
Bulldog, 2 barks. Here is 1. That'll be the end of it, though. Snipedrone cuts it short. 2 shots in the melee. We've seen that before in Halo. That usually results in a kill. Shad, last man standing for Quadrant once more. They're losing the numbers game every time.
They are getting outslayed at the moment, and Acend are making these kills count, but as I say that, the return comes through. So Quadrant, that's all they need to do. It doesn't matter if you're getting outslayed, as long as you can do the objective, as long as you can get these returns, but of course, they do find themselves 2-1 down, so they need to start to get some flags moving. 6 minutes, 42 seconds on the clock.
With how this game type has gone in the past, with it being so heavily skewed towards Acend, is it good enough for a Quadrant just to keep this competitive?
I think if Quadrant can keep it competitive, knowing how good Acend are, that will give them a lot of confidence for sure. Snipedrone, last remaining player, does have the Bulldog though. If Quadrant can kind of sniff him out here, if they can take him down, they'll have that man advantage going into this push.
Snipedrone has been living in Quadrant's treehouse. Out the back garden, getting all the sun, stealing your electricity. You need to evict him from there as quick as possible because he is causing you pain.
He's so annoying to play against because not only is he staying alive, but it's the amount of damage he's going to output from this position. Just little tickles in the back every now and then, a sprinkle of a BR shot to make you second guess yourself, try and work out where you're being shot. He might be rewarded with an overshield for all this play.
He might get it for free. NURIX is down bottom middle and a rocket comes and connects. Huge from NURIX. The second one won't do the same sort of damage, but a teammate on hand. And TchiK scoops it up, and Quadrant are starting to roll.
Quadrant have done very well at getting 3 dead for Acend, but that 4th player is consistently staying alive, and that is why it's impossible for them to get into the base to pull a flag, because they're always searching for this last player. They need a solid all 4 dead before they can get a realistic push going on here.
An opportunity is not going to come now as 2 members have been cut down. TchiK trying to even the odds, gets 1. Respectful scampers away and escapes with his life, but only for a moment as NURIX has put him in the respawn screen. But his flag has been slowed down to a crawl. Sica is putting shots down, and 3 bursts have done enough to take him down to no shields. TchiK will try and win the fight and does so successfully, gets a killing spree. But 2 members of Acend on hand, but 2 go dead, but 3 down for Quadrant.
It was almost the moment there. If TchiK was able to stay alive, if that final bullet had gone into the head of his opponent, we could have seen a run for Quadrant. And we need those moments. We need to see players like TchiK, like SLG stepping up. We so many times say how they are some of the best players in Europe, and we know they are. They know they are. We just need those clutch moments, those kind of multi-kills that really set you aside from the rest of the group.
Who won the score then? Just under 5 minutes to play. It hasn't been all one-way traffic, but Acend definitely shaving it in the sleighs and on the scoreline ever so slightly right now. It is Quadrant that have to make the moves. It's them that could possibly need to make the first mistakes here. And Acend can slow things down. They have the option if they so require it. Flag has been pulled. SLG is going to try and escort it all the way home. And with kills like that, they're going to be massive. But Respectful has taken him out. Bulldog for NURIX, but he wins the fight. 3 dead for Acend.
It's been NURIX in the kill feed over and over again, whether it be entry frags, whether it be important frags, it doesn't matter, it's NURIX all over it. And it's an overshield now for Quadrant to work with, but they are aware of where Acend may be hanging out in bar. He does go down though. Quadrant just haven't had that moment where they can break into Ascend's base. The defense has been on point.
They keep getting into treehouse, getting into bar, but cannot push any further. That needs to change. because they desperately need a flag cap, and 3 minutes 35 on the clock. Time is going to start to play a factor.
This is why Acend are so good at Bazaar, because once they take a lead, they can really just throttle their opponents. They almost force them back into their spawn. As soon as they feel any sort of confidence flowing through them, they back off, they play defense until they win those engagements and they can go for a rocket or an overshield.
Dynamo nade has resulted in a trade eventually. 3 members apiece stand. Possible side smack, and a VR shot to Snipedrone. NURIX trying to win the second 1v1, but this time will come up just a little bit short. Communication to his teammate. Shad crouched down, scoped top rockets. Lqgend is aware of this, will not step out. And Shad perhaps guilty of watching him a little bit too long. TchiK eventually gets the kill. This could be the opportunity, this could be the opening.
Needs to happen soon, only 3 minutes remaining. Someone give SLG a shake, wake him up. There we go, he's got a rocket. This could be the moment that you need from Quadrant when you need your big players to step up. Rocket doesn't connect somehow.
The rocket hits that rather large plasma screen attached to a tree. What a really strange place to put a television. But flag's on the move. And television has saved Snipedrone's life, but only for a moment. It's the players here that have overextended. NURIX going back, and it's respectful. Throwing down those nades, players down to half shields. NURIX desperately screaming, begging, crying for help. But Respectful makes sure he's on hand to get the return.
How has Respectful managed to do that? The grenades were perfect. The assisting from the team was also on point, and now they can run a counter cap. Quadrant, they were so close to getting that cap to bring them back into this game, and now they've got to try and scramble off spawn.
Lqgend has gotten it to his porch, and Respectful guided back in. It was him who got the return, and he's come all the way back home to put real breathing space. No, there's a player on hand to get the stop, but is anybody else there to apply pressure? 3v3, numbers advantage now in favor of Quadrant. Can SLG stay alive?
Like Tarzan came swinging in to save the day, and now Quadrant have their chance to try and run a flag. Somehow, some way, they keep this one alive.
Can Shad live? The answer is no. Can his teammates live around this flag? Play slow if they need to. They need to wait for each other. SLG, though, he has been eliminated. The latest on Quadrant, they were 3 dead for a moment, and this flag is dead in the water.
Flag gets sent home. 1 minute and 15 on the clock. Acend just need to keep doing what they've been doing for the last 5 minutes or so, and that's play defense. As for Quadrant, they need to gather the troops here. They need something to give them that final push.
1 minute. Reads on the clock. The sand running out of time. 2 players go down. The Slays are going in the wrong direction.
They are going in the wrong direction, but finally TchiK steps in. He gets the double kill. That's what you want from one of the biggest and best players. NURIX gets a 3rd, and now Quadrant are in the ascendancy. They have the chance to push in here, but they need to make sure they clear out their back.
The tale as old as time. Again, they have a player behind them doing damage. Shad's the last player. Lqgend spots him out. This is a massive 1v1, but Shad's been forced to back down. Lqgend plays his life expertly. 24 seconds remain.
And with Shad going down then, after he manages to respawn, surely there's not time for Quadrant to push through. But maybe they've got one last chance, but it has to happen now.
Perhaps one last roll of the dice. Acend playing full defense. If you want it, you're going to have to come get it. As they descend on the base, Lqgend backs himself in that 1v1 engagement. It's a 4v3, making it 3v2 now as 2 kills go in their favor, and Acend strike first.
As they've done all season long, Bazaar capture the flag, goes in favor of Acend, and they lead 1-0 in this grand finals. Lqgend literally a goalkeeper at the end of that game, protecting the flag. No one was coming near it. And even though Quadrant gave it their best effort, and they had some amazing returns, amazing chances, Acend are just so strong once they do set up that fort.
Lqgend made himself look real big. Peter Schmeichel-esque, you might say. There was nothing getting past him there. You shall not pass. Gandalf between the 2 pillars. But Acend draw first blood here. Quadrant on the ropes, but this is what we expected. But they did keep it competitive.
Very competitive indeed, and I think that bodes well for the rest of this series, and particularly NURIX with 23 kills. I've been highlighting him as a potential problem or a potential solution to this Quadrant roster, and if he can carry on playing like that as the series develops, as long as the rest of the team catches up a little bit, Quadrant can certainly make a series of this one. Because remember, it's a best of 7 now, not a best of 5, so going 1-0 down is not the end of the world.
SLG, though, going 12 and 21. The experience that he has, you need better from your experienced players.
And even though his damage dealt was enough to suggest he was helping in fights, you just expect so much from SLG because of his history, right? Because he is that player that steps up and has those big moments. But it's okay, you can have an off game in a best of 7. That's why it's not be-all and end-all right now in game number 1, especially on Bazaar Capture the Flag, which is very much Acend's best game type.
Talking about players who had a bit of a struggle, talking about players who made some key, pivotal decisions and gameplays in that one there. Respectful. Not only defending his flag, but getting returns, getting flag captures. He had rockets going through double doors, getting multi-kills.
We've spoke about the pressure that's on Respectful's shoulders all tournament long, but with now Na'Vi exiting the tournament, do you think that maybe relieves a little bit of pressure on Respectful? Because I certainly do. And it looked like he was confident as ever, going for that flank, being the last player remaining, and he used grenades to best ability to ensure that he stopped that flag in a pivotal moment.
What a few weeks Respectful's had, being dropped by the partner team in no man's land, gets onto Online Warriors, and now all of a sudden he finds himself on the best team. But CTF Bazaar 2-1. Live Fire Slayer's up next.
Live Fire Slayer is often a playground for all 8 of these players when it comes to not just matchmaking, but also competitive games. They all know how to navigate it by this time. They all know what weapons they need to be picking up. But when it does come to Slayer, on LAN, in a pressure moment like this, it's about that teamwork. It's about making sure you don't get lost in the moment and you're not trying to take too many 1v1s. You're not trying to flank too much unless it is practiced, unless it is communicated. So this is going to be a situation where Quadrant, they need to keep tabs of Acend here. They can't allow the likes of Respectful, Snipedrone to start running and controlling this map. Otherwise, they could very quickly find themselves snowballing out of control.
From the mental side of things, this game is far bigger for Quadrant than it is for Acend. They need to get on the board here.
And even though game 2 in a best of 5 is absolutely imperative, you could still say the same here in a best of 7. If you go 2-0 down, Acend start to believe that this is going to be a cakewalk.
We're underway then. So far, it's your regular schedule programming. Acend up 1-0. Quadrant with ambitions of changing that here, and at least making Acend sweat in our grand finals. But the opening engagements have gone the way of Acend. 3 kills going their favor. It's 4-1.
Sniper rifle is going to be so important throughout this game. We've seen what several members of this lineup can do with it, and there's a body shot from Snipedrone. That's what you need, at least bodies from your sniper player. Overshield now picked up from Acend.
And the bodies hit the floor. 6 kills to 2. SLG, the latest one to hit the respawn screen. You can see exactly why Quadrant put the brakes on, slammed the car into reverse. They see overshields coming down, bearing down on them. 2 kills from Sica. It's 9 kills to 3, and it's one-way traffic right now.
Respectful says that Acend play in a chaotic manner. They thrive in chaos, but I do feel like it is kind of structured chaos. Whereas Quadrant, they want to slow this game down. They want to play a more normal, methodical style of Halo Infinite, but Acend are not allowing them to do that right now.
Taking a 1v1 with Snipedrone. The experience of Snipedrone, recognized he's down in the fight, starts wasting that sniper ammo. He knows just how important, he knows just how lethal Quadrant can be with it.
Just 1 bullet left as he goes down, so that's job done from Snipedrone as far as he's concerned. Quadrant, I think, might be disappointed they don't get much ammo to work with, but Quadrant are slowly but surely crawling their way back into this one. A big few kills going in their favor. SLG gets 1 sniper bullet to work with.
Can he make it work though?
Oh!
Yes, he can! Lqgend dispatched. 10 kills to 11. More of that, please, SLG.
Overshield in 10. Acend were able to get the first. Quadrant trying to situate themselves so they can get angles for it, but they've lost 2 players. And SLG knows he's got a lot of responsibility here, but with the heat wave in favor of Acend, another overshield is going to be popped into their chest. And with a 4-kill advantage plus an overshield, Quadrant have got to try and play this one so slow. You need to try and avoid the overshield at all costs, or get a plasma pistol.
The other side of things, an opportunity for Acend to add insult to injury, to compound the misery. 16 kills to 11. The overshield hasn't been a factor just yet. That player over towards B has been handled eventually. 2 members have fallen, though. Respectful last man standing with the overshield. This is good from Quadrant. They've cut away the numbers and made sure that if the overshield player did come, he'd pay the price. 17 kills to 15. It's a 2-kill game.
Quadrant was so prepared for an overshield that they took down 3 members of Acend. They were like, surely this is the overshield guy. No, maybe it's this guy. Oh, wait, the overshield guy's the last guy. That is perfectly played from Quadrant, setting up traps, setting up ambushes, and it fell perfectly into their hands. Acend, though, still have a 3-kill lead.
The overshield is on the map. Let's fight everybody that doesn't have the overshield. Seems like a really good strategy for them. But Snipe Rifle now. More respectful. Misses the body shot. Has the repulsor. Will connect to the second shot, but the plasma grenade will take care of him. Snipe Rifle's been dropped, though. I don't know if TchiK recognizes that he hasn't picked it up, and instead he's gone for the commando. No doubt he will go back and say, sorry about that, sir. That's the one I wanted. Thank you very much. He scoops it up, and we know how lethal he can be in this map.
I've seen this one before. Maybe TchiK can start to do similar things to what he did in Kansas City months ago. And if he can start firing, that's when Quadrant can start taking advantage of the openings he creates with such shots.
There's a reason I was wearing a wig, because TchiK loves a wobble in them. But he needs some players to step into those crosshairs, and the respect has been given to him. No players overextending. Sica could be the victim, #1. But they're all moving away from him. Timing. It's been a cruel, cruel mistress right now. All players rotating away from him. You can see why. Overshield's about to pop. TchiK clears his corner. Sica still evades the attentions of the Sniper Rifle. He desperately wants to be an influence. But he's being flanked here. He needs to land this shot, and he won't.
No montage moment for TchiK. Where did the overshield end up? Were Acend able to grab it? Yes, they were. That's another overshield, and now Sniper Rifle in their hands as well. So try as they might, Quadrant, they got aggressive. They were trying to take angles. They got to the perfect position to grab the overshield, but Acend almost out-rotated them here on live fire, and they're rewarded for so.
5 kills difference. Half an overshield to play with, and 1 bullet in the Sniper Rifle, only 3 in the heat wave. So look, running low on ammunition, so this next life is going to have to be important. Body shot will be enough. Melee will do the job. But now needs to pick up that battle rifle. He is out of ammunition. He's picked up a battle rifle that also only has 4 bullets in it. How has that just happened?
Lqgend probably wondering what's happening. But has to go back to the heat wave once more. But I tell you what, if you're going to have 1 weapon with ammo, I guess the heat wave's not so bad. But maybe this is the break for Quadrant. Great grenades as Lqgend dies. But it's still only a 5-kill game. This is not impossible for Quadrant to get back into. They just need to make sure they don't fall into Acend's trap too much.
This is not out of the realms of possibility. Let's see how Quadrant are navigating it. Let's have an Astro listen in.
Snipedrone one, il va pilier one shot. Pilier one shot, 2 miss, il va retourner.
Je regarde.
Il va 2 miss, 3 2 miss.
Il va 2 miss, 2 miss.
Over dans 30 secondes. 30 secondes.
Elbow sur moi, one shot elbow.
Et mourir.
Trap tour les gens. Il est où le tap tour? Top one shot. Les gens encore top tower. Et un commando. Elbow, encore elbow qui va... 2 miss je crois.
Ouais. Over dans 15 secondes les gars.
J'avance dans l'aile pour vous. Essayez de clean mon plat. Un plat, en garage. Elbow légende. One shot en garage.
Je dans window.
Elbow légende, 2 miss pas touché, 2 miss.
Je vais pas pouvoir avoir l'over. Elle.
Sniper's up and a chance for TchiK to show what he's made of once more, but he's behind enemy lines and has to hit some shots. And there we go. That's what you need to give a little bit of momentum to this squad.
A little bit of oomph, a bit of va-va-voom. But it's a long road back. TchiK has the Sniper Rifle, but he just can't connect. He can't dot his I's, cross his T's. Shad taken care of, and a triple kill for Lqgend, screaming, where's my over?
And I tell you what, there was a lot more players around towards that overshield, but they were just able to scarper away and perhaps hiding from that overkill. The last thing you want to do is give any sort of momentum to this Acend roster because they're already thriving in this environment.
Only requiring 4 to double their series lead. What can Quadrant do? They need to try and take some sort of confidence. Momentum! As Lqgend finds another. 1 kill required. And it's going to come from Snipedrone. They will double their series lead.
And Lqgend almost pops out of his chair as if it was an ejection seat. That's how much he liked that shot. Acend 2-0 up now and showing why they have dominated European Halo for years.
Dominating European Halo. Dominating that Slayer. That was close for the longest time, but they just found that extra gear.
It seems even if you go up against Acend, even if you keep it close against Acend, when you get into those kind of final moments where the important kills start to happen, Acend just flick it up another gear. They turn into a different beast. They finally realize, okay, we need to be making sure we are not throwing things away here. We are not allowing the opposition into this game. And because they play such perfect Halo at times, it's so difficult for an opponent to even try and get back into a game.
The tail of the tape, 50-35. Lqgend, what a performance he had. What the shots he was finding towards the latter stages. 16 kills, 11 deaths, and 8 assists.
Is this one step too far for Quadrant? They didn't match up throughout the entire tournament. They've managed to avoid one another. And I know full well Quadrant, they want this series. They want to go up against Acend. But now 2-0 down in a best of 7, they're starting to think, well, we need to make sure we put a performance so we don't embarrass ourselves here. The last thing you want to do is go into a grand final and lose 4-0. But a Slayer can go either way, and we know that. Now we get into the business and the objectives of this series. I think Quadrant will be feeling like after a break, they can still have a good stab at this one.
You do not want to go out in a whimper. You've got 2 more opportunities to have a real good go of this. You do not want to go down 3-0 in this series.
You cannot afford to go down 3-0. 3-0, and it's probably chalked mentally for a lot of these players. And even though this tournament has been comeback century, we've seen reverse sweeps, we've seen comebacks happening, to try and do that against Acend, the best team in Europe right now, and one of the best teams we've ever seen grace European Halo for quite some time, that is a tall order for sure. So this Game 3 is absolutely crucial for Quadrant's chances. To the team, King of the Hill on Streets is a very difficult game to try and master. I think a lot of teams, ever since it's released, have been trying to work out what's the best formula. Acend have adjusted very quickly to this game type. I'm interested to see if Quadrant have an answer for it.
Can they work out the riddle? They're down 0-2 in the series. We need to see more from Quadrant, and for Acend, just remain dominant. Keep doing what you're doing. We're underway here. First hill, situated towards the arcade. Rockets ripe for the pick.
Snipedrone just does that off spawn every single time. He just takes an angle, he lays down suppressing fire, and he gives so much support to the rest of the team. 3 are dead for Quadrant. Acend have map control. Acend have rockets, perhaps? Yes, they do. So they've got absolutely everything, and it all stems from that kind of support role that Snipedrone plays sometimes.
What a difference the set of rockets can make. As Sica rolls up, gets 2. No significant score on the board, though. That's about to change as Respectful steps in and starts ticking away that hill. Can they predict the spawns? Can they control the game from here on out? Respectful has left. He's got information from a teammate.
Just want to keep control of station at the same time. Remember, that's where the next hill will be moving. So you need to try and control the hill and control the next priority position. And that's difficult to do because you've got to watch a lot of angles, you've got to try and watch a lot of flanks. But Lqgend, he's going to do his very best with the shotgun here. But at the moment, Quadrant are scoring.
After that hot start that Acend had, Quadrant now right back into things. Not only just back in, but they've taken the lead. Shad will live. TchiK will not. As Lqgend quickly trains his attention to him. And here comes the Acend push. They're rolling. The wheels are turning. But this time, the tracks have come off. They're going to have to go again unless Respectful has an answer. He's been back down NURIX while he desperately tries to stay alive. Will continue to score.
Quadrant still scoring, Acend still spawning, and Quadrant, if they can get this first point, it would be huge for their belief and confidence levels. But Acend are just running at them right now. 3 are dead though. SLG should surely be able to get the final points, but he has to take on Sica now.
Sica steps in, gets the contest, and that's going to be enough. But it has to be a really solid hold, a perfect hold, if Acend are going to take the first point here. And if that's going to be doing them all the justice in the world, 2 kills going in their favor.
SLG's just spawn station though. That really helps out, but Snipedrone's got the rockets. Surely Quadrant can't throw this one away considering how close they are. That's a big nade, but Snipedrone's more than happy to take advantage of it.
2 rockets go down. That's 2 sets of rockets resulting in 4 kills. And Acend are responding here. Have Quadrant got the answers? Or will they ignore the call? NURIX steps in desperately. Falls short though, and Acend go 1-up.
How on earth have Acend managed to do that? Quadrant were just millimeters away on that bar. And now Acend, they find themselves in a 1 versus 4. Quadrant have slight control of station, but there's Respectful. Still being a nuisance, still being a thorn in the side.
What's that going to do for the confidence of Quadrant? They're so close. They've always been so close. They just can't get over the line.
It seems to be the same old story, Richie. Na'Vi, Quadrant. They get close, but it's not close enough. And as soon as they are that close and it gets ripped away from them, it's so demoralizing and it's so difficult as a team to try and come back from that. But TchiK is getting some hill time here. Needs some assistance though.
TchiK gets the opening pick. Lqgend goes down. Respectful will join him. That's a double kill. 3 dead for Acend. Sica goes down. All 4 dead. This is Quadrant's opportunity.
They have to get this point. I don't think they can afford to go 2-0 down here. This has been a scrappy first hill. A lot of time has been wasted. As soon as there's a 3-point mark, it's very possible that either team could just play time. So you've got to make sure you at least get 1 on the board so you don't find yourself in that situation.
Quadrant have got to do a better job at staying alive. The first pick every time they have a hold goes against them. They have still got players in the hill, but here comes Lqgend and Snipedrone to try and stop that progress in its tracks. They've done so successfully in just delaying at the very least.
Big jump here from Snipedrone. Gets an angle, and at least will help 1 kill go on the board. But all the meanwhile, Quadrant are still scoring here. But Acend have done so well to break into station time and time again. This is so difficult to Quadrant to get these final points. And Quadrant could very easily find themselves in exactly the same position they did before, where they get so close, but it gets stolen away.
NURIX has to live. Buy time for his team. Flirted with the idea of stepping inside. Chose a different option, and it was rewarded with a kill. 2 dead for Acend. Quadrant. We're all tied up.
Acend just started to set up for the next hill here, but look how quick SLG is to react to it. Finally gets the kill, and that's what you have to do. When you recognize the other team is setting up for the next hill, you've got to fly. You've got to make them uncomfortable. Don't allow them to get into a setup and really put that fortress up.
Can Quadrant start to dictate the pace of this game, of this series? This is a massive opportunity for them now to start asking more questions. Plant the seed of doubt in the minds of Acend. They've had it all their own way for far too long in this region. Is somebody finally going to step up to the bully?
SLG can get away here, which he will. That's a good sign. Those are the moments that you have to escape around the corners to eventually regain your shields and get back into the fight and help your team. Could that prove vital? Maybe not, because he gets shots across map.
Game slows down for a moment then. Shad gets taken care of. That's 3 dead. Snipedrone immediately turns his attentions towards the hill, but a teammate stepped in instead, prioritizing the aim and the precision that is Snipedrone. Deals in 1s and 0s. He's a killing machine. SLG, his latest victim. 2 dead, once more for Quadrant. But Acend yet to stand in that hill again.
Rockets just popped. Acend 3 down. This is what Quadrant need. They need to be grabbing them ASAP, but Sica is still alive and still fighting and still getting assists. Somehow Acend do this. When 3 of them are dead, there's always a player just causing a nuisance, and finally Sica goes down.
Sica carving a hole. The Quadrant defense. It looked as though it was going to be all rosy with the Rockets. But Shad could not escape the attentions. Lqgend picks up 2. No team yet to stand on the hill and secure it and make it their own. That's changing now with Quadrant stepping in.
Respectful just waiting for his team. Has the Sentinel beam, and we've seen what it can do on land and how much it can fry. Maybe not from that distance, but start to get a little bit closer, and suddenly that thing gets very hot and fuzzy, but Shad with some perfect shots to go alongside SLG. And Quadrant are close to taking the lead in this game.
Sica over towards the cafe. Down to half shield. Snipedrone will join him. Table for 2. Respectful though. Faced with Shad once more. He dives out, no shields, and will that be the first mistake? The opening that Acend can capitalize on. NURIX though ensures to even up the odds just a touch for now. Snipedrone again.
Oh.
Beautiful shot from NURIX. More of that.
Lqgend's been a nuisance. He's stalling this point as much as he can. But I don't think the team is going to arrive on time, and this might be another point going in favor of Quadrant. Acend rattled ever so slightly here on Streets.
And Acend on the back foot for the first time in the series. Quadrant take the lead in game 3. Desperately need to get a game under their belt for confidence alone. Rockets about to pop, but that has been a real difficulty for them to control and to dictate. Snipedrone, 1v1. NURIX secures it. Double kill. Surely the Rockets to boot, SLG scoops them up.
Quadrant starting to wake up once more. Great decision making from NURIX. Leaves the Rockets temporarily, helps the team, gets the double, and now he's rewarded with a teammate passing him these Rockets. But you need to get in a position to make them count.
They've made so much progress on this Cafe Hill. They just need players to stay in. Rocket connects. So does the second one. All 4 dead for Acend. 3-1 Quadrant.
1 minute 38 on that clock. Quadrant can very much just play time with a 2-point lead and a very scrappy hill that's about to unfold. SLG knows that. He's called out the spawns, but now he needs to stay alive.
He goes down. 1 minute 28 on the clock, and Acend no. They have to stay in this hill. It's become a mosh pit at times, but they have to try and flourish in the chaos, as Respectful says, because this bottom middle hill is about to get spicy.
And this is where you need a member of Quadrant to get tower, to get bottom station, to be putting down so much fire onto this bottom hill. But at the moment, Quadrant can't catch a break. Every single spawner is getting deleted.
They need to spawn up and wait for one another, but they're getting split spawns at all possible times. Spawning in Tram, spawning in PD, but all of a sudden Sica getting tagged up in the back, and he has the information. 2 members situate over towards tower now. Time gonna play a massive factor very shortly as we quickly approach the minute mark.
Well, look at the amount of effort they're having to put into this hill, right? And still that time is dwindling away. Even if they were to get this point, Quadrant are in such a good position where that next hill, Acend have got so much work to do and they're gonna have such little time to work with. Snipedrone trying his best over at Pink, but he just can't stay alive.
Respectful steps in, try and keep this game alive. But it's not for long. It's a 1v1 on the map. Lqgend up against SLG, the former teammates of Cartel from yesteryear. And they face off against one another in the European Grand Finals. The best of enemies they've been all season long. Acend will not go quietly here. They still want to get frisky.
This can happen sometimes when you try and play time. You allow maybe a little bit too much of a comeback possibility from Acend, but Snipedrone, last remaining player, time still ticking away, and Quadrant, they keep tabs on it. They've got rockets. This is all looking good for the boys in lime green.
Just under 30 seconds then. NURIX has to live with this rocket. It has to find a home, and it does. Onto the Englishman. But Acend have still got 2 members in the hill. They need an eviction notice. They need to get in that hill and clear house.
And then Acend need to score, then they need to hold perfectly. That is going to be so difficult. Quadrant know it, but there's still only 12 seconds left. And Acend on spawn now. They've got to send someone into that hill ASAP.
Lqgend is the first one up, the furthest one forward, but he's not going to get far enough. Respectful and Sica, they've stepped in, but are greeted with nothing but grenades. The pie chart pops up. They have one more chance. Nobody seems to be on hand though. Lqgend steps out front C, eliminated. This is gonna be Quadrant's game. They're back in the series 2-1.
Boy oh boy, we've got a series after all. It could have been so different if Quadrant had lost that one. Boy did they ever need it. And now, Acend are left wondering, okay, this isn't perhaps gonna be as easy as we first thought. Quadrant, they're back alive.
Answering some of the critics, perhaps. It's not going to be a 4-0. They're going to apply some pressure. They're going to answer back in game 3. And Acend are not as unbreakable as first feared.
And even though Acend have had so much success on that game type throughout online competition, the way that Quadrant played it and the way they were holding their setups, the way they were pressuring spawns, it's similar to what Acend have done to them in the past. But perhaps they've gone over tape. They've learned from the best. And because of it, they are rewarded with a victory. 25 kills for TchiK. I said I wanted to see the best players step up. Well, here we are. Now this is game time. This is the business end of the best of 7, where things start to heat up a little bit. And if Quadrant can tie up this series, just imagine what that could do for momentum.
Momentum sometimes can be 50% of Halo. Quadrant desperately needed that game. They go down 0-3, and all of a sudden, we're looking at a clean sweep. But they put some respect on their name. They've answered back. And Acend now, they've got to go again.
And as we look back at the highlights, it was a lot of the rocket control on both sides. That was why we were kind of flipping back and forth between who had control, who didn't have control. It was imperative that both teams focused those rockets. But the amount of time we spent in Hill 1 and Hill 2 was why that last hill we could play it that way, or why Quadrant could play it that way. I feared Quadrant would be on the receiving end of it because they went 1-0 down, but the comeback and the fact they could then implement it meant that they were more than comfortable as soon as that last hill came through.
Game 4 on the horizon. Let's talk about what Quadrant did right in this last game, and can they implement it in this next game going forward?
Confidence, aggression, spawn control, recognizing where the flanks were coming through. Look at SLG's face. He said, what were we worried about? Why are we 2-0 down against these guys? We can beat them. This is doable. This is possible. An oddball recharge. I think that is a very winnable game type for Quadrant. We've seen them do it time and time again. They know how to set up. This is not some new game type that they've had to learn since it's been added just a few weeks ago. This is their bread and butter. We could very much be looking at 2-2 if Acend don't get back on the top of the game.
The only issue I have, the only concern heading into this, is we did see Navi play against Quadrant this very game type, and Navi brushed them aside.
But
There's a but.
Quadrant came to life. That was a different Quadrant, right?
Not same Quadrant, different team.
This is a new Quadrant. This is a Quadrant who believe in themselves. This is a Quadrant who are taking fights. This is a Quadrant who are not backing down and instead are asking for a teammate to join them. I think the Quadrant can do this. I think they could take us to a second best of 7, but it has to be a victory here. They can't afford to go 3 maps down, otherwise Acend will start to really think this championship, it's in the bag.
Something Quadrant done very successfully was shut Respectful down, kept them quiet. They have to do the same again here. Expose any weaknesses they possibly can. If they win here, we're all tied up. This game has massive importance. And first 2 kills have gone in favor of Quadrant here, but it's still a 2v2 on the map for now.
TchiK manages to get the grapple. Got some grenades to work with as well, and the important part of getting a grapple into gold, you can get that ball. And you can see, he wants to get it, he wants to take it away. You get some early points, but also you get a little bit of pipe control. But Acend know full well they have to push. They can't afford it for a setup to happen here.
Holding the ball can be enough to send the enemy team into a bit of a panic. You start to early score, put points on the board, 7 and counting now. Shock rifle in TchiK's hands. He wasn't able to be as influential with the sniper rifle on live fire as he would have liked. Is that about to change?
The shock rifle, very much a different weapon. Similarities for sure, slightly easier to use when you're no-scoping. And even in the hands of TchiK, it is a very dangerous weapon, of course, but he does fall. And we've got a decent amount of ball time for Quadrant here. 27 points, that's a fantastic start for them.
Quadrant already a quarter of the way to winning round 1. But the pendulum starting to swing once more. As Respectful eliminates the captain. And Acend starting to cut that deficit immediately here, down to just 10.
You have to be a very brave soul to start challenging a shock rifle in the hands of any of these players, let alone Respectful. But the grenade's playing a huge part right now, making sure you clear out those corners, making sure no one's going to get any free escapes on one shot. As everything slows down ever so slightly, it's a 3 versus 3, but both spawners are going to be up for a fresh 4 versus 4. And the first pick here, Richie, is going to be huge.
These 2 teams still jostling for position, and that first pick, make it 3 picks, have gone the way of Acend. Numbers advantage 2v1. NURIX last man standing, uses the grapple to get close. Straight over to Respectful he goes, and somehow manages to scoop up the camouflage. Big plays from NURIX.
NURIX supermans towards the camouflage, gets rewarded, and now he can use it to try and make an influence behind enemy lines. If you can escape, it's massive, but just doesn't get the swing.
Didn't get the angles right. Sica continues to put down damage. He knows if they lose this tournament, none of that online stuff would have ever mattered. They need to get 1 land victory under the belt. Quadrant trying to make a series of it here, and doing so successfully.
Death left, right, and center at the moment. No room to breathe. Lives are about 5 seconds at max right now. And you've got to slow this down if you're on the side of Quadrant. You don't want to fall into this trap of playing too quickly. But Acend, that's what they do. They suffocate you, and they're always pushing those spawns.
Snipedrone adds an extra couple of seconds to the tally. A 10-second game, ball played, map should be reset. But who will have control once it shakes out? 2 members of Acend were down for a moment, but Respectful has restored parity here. Ball down, but it's Sica who's positioned over towards Bat Ledge, and it's Acend who have control for the moment.
I'll be very honest, Richie. Both teams look a little bit nervous in their gameplay. They're not necessarily taking the fights we'd see them take online. And I don't know whether that's just because it's LAN or whether the sheer magnitude of what this game could mean for the grand scheme of things when it comes to this final. Sica gets a shot onto the legs with a shot. Unfortunately can't connect with the head, and we're seeing a lot of these star players miss some of these big shots that usually they'd be hitting.
Is the pressure of the moment getting to these two? Will it be whatever team makes the fewer mistakes will win the tournament here? Camouflage is popped, and it's in Sica's hands. Can he get it away? And can he utilize it? His team have the ball. He has free reins. It's a Sica playground, and we're just living in it.
So brave to pop the camo that late. He gets punished a little bit later anyway, so it doesn't really matter. 31-30. Clock starting to dwindle away as well with these two teams. Only 1 minute and 45 left when the ball is not being touched. And it's been so scrappy. Neither team has achieved any sort of setup at the moment, and that suggests one of two things. Either they're both nervous, or they're very closely contested when it comes to these slays.
The biggest series of these two teams' lives here. The biggest LAN event in European history. And with that, it brings its own pressures. And Quadrant, they're wilting a little bit here. But Acend, they're definitely leaving scraps on the table.
I mean, this is your chance for your share of $100,000. This is the biggest moment for sure. This is the biggest prize pool we've seen in a European competition. And you've got to make it count. You've got to make sure you put your best foot forward. Acend, they take the lead, they go 2-1 up, and they find themselves leading now in this oddball game.
They continue to score points then. Couple of kills either side. This Quadrant push has been cut down. The herd has been thinned once more. TchiK is good, but he's not going to get 3 kills and stop this scoring. He has to wait for his team.
Look how spread Acend are as well. They're watching every angle. They're looking for TchiK. They find TchiK, and now it's a 4 versus 3. Quadrant have to back down. They have to wait. That means more ball time here for Acend.
63 to be exact to 43. But 1 minute and 12 on the clock. It stops dead while the ball is in a player's hands. But all of a sudden, Quadrant have 2 enemies here in round 1.
Sica's gone down. This is the push for Quadrant. Snipedrone and Lqgend will fall as well, but 2 only alive for Quadrant. If you don't win this engagement, if you allow Respectful to stay alive, you are not getting ball time. That is such a huge fight.
Massive victory in the 1v1 for Shad. They need a lot more of that if this game is going to go their way, if this series is going to go their way, if they're going to have the opportunity to reset the bracket. But 3 go down once more, and all the kills are going the wrong way if you're wearing lime and green.
And that was all because of the camo. Sica sneaks behind enemy lines, he takes the ball guy, he takes a second, and now we see him get another kill onto SLG, and it's allowed Lqgend to sneak on in, get that extra incy-bincy bit of ball time, but he tosses it straight into NURIX's hand. That's great positioning from NURIX.
NURIX scoops it up, but he's down to no shields and recognizes if he goes any further, he might be eliminated. He gets taken care of anyway. 4 dead now for Quadrant. And Acend are finding that extra gear once more.
And Acend are leaving that ball bottom middle. It's time to play Slayer. It's time to say, well, Quadrant, you need to recover this ball and get a setup. Otherwise, you're going 1 round down.
15 seconds. The ball is nothing but bait. It's on the end of a string. And it's NURIX is going straight for the cheese, but it's been reset. It's disappeared right in front of him. But SLG has somehow managed to secure it for his team. Needs to get this kill, but the trade comes through and TchiK's got it in his hands, but he can't drop it now.
Have to hold on to this ball. Only 20 seconds behind. It's still doable, but he needs help, but it goes down. And Acend take round 1 here in game number 4.
So close. Desperation plays. But Acend forced them to make moves.
That ball reset was nuts. Quadrant had got 2 down. They had a player within inches of picking it up. The reset was so detrimental to them. They may have been able to pick up the ball, go bottom blue. The timing is everything there, and Acend blessing the Halo gods.
Every second counts in Halo. Whether you're holding the ball, or the ball's gonna get reset, timing plays a massive factor. And it's the difference now between Quadrant being up around them or being down now. They're already down 2-1 in the series. And Acend looking to apply even more pressure.
A lot of patience being demonstrated by SLG just to wait to see when that ball was eventually going to be grappled. I think you expect it. It's inevitable now at the start of some of these rounds. As soon as someone swooped on in with a grapple, you've got to be sure they're going to be picking up that ball. But Quadrant do get several members down. They get a setup. Are we going to see one of the first real setups here for Quadrant? And if so, how does Acend answer?
Round one was so scrappy. There's no real semblance of control. Pressure of the moment getting to both these teams. Is that about to change? Can Quadrant ice up? Can they get some composure going? Snipedrone picks up another kill. Putting down damage as he so often does. He's one of the best in Europe at it. Quadrant have registered now, 23 seconds, ball down in pipes. But there's the last two remaining members that have to hold. And here comes the Quadrant push. It's been successful as Lqgend locks in too, but what can SLG do? Absolutely nothing.
Say it again, Acend are a team who funnel their opponents into their imminent death. It is incredible the way they just filter themselves through and then they collapse together. Fantastic push, and now they get the chance to set up.
The 5-second game. The pipes hold is weak once more though. A trade will be enough for Quadrant. The setup once more in pipes, but Shad down to no shield. Sica will eliminate him from the equation for the next 7 seconds or so. Not interested in getting the ball, sacrificing time and securing the camouflage.
And we've seen this one before. Sica with camo, getting behind enemy lines and maybe stopping this ball time to be achieved. I've got to say, if I'm Quadrant, I'm asking myself, how is this final member of Acend constantly surviving and constantly getting a kill? You've got to be quicker at finishing this fourth player.
The story all series long, dating all the way back to Bazaar. Snipedrone kept getting behind them. Respectful, the same. They need to keep tabs on all 4 players, as any one of these Acend members can make a difference at any moment in time. Snipedrone faced with the shock rifle, and NURIX will not land that shot. And he smelled blood, but ran straight into a powerful TchiK.
It's a good amount of time for Quadrant so far. Ball is there. Do you have a grapple? Yes, you have. It's a little rebound, just about stays on. The grapple does not let loose, thank God. And now Quadrant can score here. It's a 4 versus 3, make it a 4 versus 2. And as long as they don't allow Respectful to get too much damage here, Quadrant should be able to get a considerable amount of time.
The information has come. They're rotating ball towards Elevator. SLG is going to try and be the first line of defense. When he crumbles, he's made of glass. And that hold has been blown wide open.
Respectful and Lqgend, 2 versus 4, 2 versus 3 maybe because the ball guy doesn't count, just walked on in and pummeled them. And now they're rewarded with ball time of their own. Quadrant not quite able to hold. And that has been the story of Recharge Ball here. Neither team having much success when it comes to those setups.
Plasma grenade not going to be enough to take care of TchiK, but teammate on hand to do so instead. Bottom elevator, Snipedrone has the ball. SLG tries to put some damage down, but ultimately has to back away as 2 members face him. Lqgend down to no shields, and SLG desperately trying to get the cleanup. It's taken so long in fact, that the ball's been played.
That's the difference of a one shot gets away. He plays the ball, and now suddenly you're not going to be able to get time. Camo is up, and Acend have got every single camo so far. Surely, finally, Quadrant can actually do something with one.
TchiK has camo. For me, the best player in Europe is about to go to work. He needs to. He has got to be an influence here. He can ill afford to throw this one away. They have a 4-second advantage. It's not going to be enough. As the ball resets once more, Snipedrone down to no shields. The easy pickings for the man with camo.
And you can see there on your screen, even though TchiK, one of the best slayers in Europe, he has been so objectively focused throughout this tournament. He's been the one grabbing that ball. This time tries to grab the shot, but that's the difference of hitting those kind of grapples and not hitting them. Now he's down in no man's land, and he's going to get naded to high heavens.
The battle rifle had done the damage in the end. Grenade smoking him out, exposing the angles, cleaned up in the end. Still remains a 4-second game, but it's Quadrant who still have the lead. Acend have got control of pipes, but what can Snipedrone do with it? Can he maintain it for his team? The setup, Shad though, just under him, tucked low. He comes up the stairs. Snipedrone's already weak, but it doesn't matter, he wins those.
The shots we just saw Snipedrone hit could potentially win them this round. He's still alive somehow. Eventually the push comes through. SLG does get 2. And finally Acend take the lead. It's only a 1-second lead though, granted. But this is going to be another game that goes right down to the wire.
Ball drops bottom middle. And for a moment it looked like a Benny Hill sketch as NURIX tried to grab the ball. And a grenade blew it even further away from him. He has the option to play ball. He needs to utilize it and he doesn't. It's a massive blunder.
far too comfortable, sat there with the ball. Eventually, it's okay, it goes off the map anyway, but surely it's a heads-up play to just assess and listen to the footsteps that are arriving around you. Still though, Quadrant 1 point up here, Richie.
Under a minute left to play. Will the call come once again to play Slayer? 3 dead. Go Quadrant. And Acend and now have the advantage. Can they punish Quadrant for stepping out of line?
Big fight. If Respectful tries to take on TchiK here. TchiK was the last remaining player. Respectful had the camouflage. And they know they need to get a set of slays Acend. They can't afford to just throw themselves at the ball, because that's what Quadrant want. Quadrant are baiting this ball right now, but there's the opener. It's a 3 versus 3. Make it a 3 versus 2. If Quadrant get a good set of slays, this could be the round.
NURIX gets a huge kill on the Snipedrone. 3 dead. Lqgend the last man standing. Can he get his hands on the ball? 18 seconds.
This is a risky game to play for Quadrant. You are putting yourselves in a situation, if you go all 4 down, you lose this round, you lose this game.
9 seconds. 2v2. Who has the metal? Who has the bottle? Respectful picks up the ball. He's got 1 second. And Acend could possibly get the win here. But he's dropped the ball. Quadrant have the hands on it. They're desperate in it. And Quadrant tie up this oddball game.
What an ending between these two teams, throwing their bodies on the line to try and get those final points. Respectful maybe thinking he'd done enough, but Quadrant quickly assessing that situation and doing exactly the same. Both teams just absolutely full sending the ball, and we go into round 3.
And if Acend are going to win this one, they're going to have to do it the hard way. Quadrant making them work for every step, for every second of ball time. The magnitude of this game, the pressure increases another notch.
32 kills for Shad. 30 kills for Sica. They're the main slayers at the moment. They're the big boys who have been finishing those kills as SLG shuts down Respectful.
You gotta win those if you're Respectful. Do not allow him to get rolling. NURIX goes down, 3 dead. SLG's the last man alive. We know where he was standing last. Rotations come now to top elevator.
We know, that means Acend know as well. They had that death screen. They know where these spawns are going to happen, but SLG sets off remote detonation to get the opener. And now Acend are on the back foot here. Quadrant have done so well to escape that potential spawn trap.
Huge damage by SLG, helping his team secure 2 kills. The ball carrier, though, will get the job done with the help of a right jab. It's 5 seconds to 9 in these early engagements, but time is coming so hard for both these teams. They're not able to hold these setups.
This game is so close, and I feel like Quadrant are starting to realize that maybe this series is winnable after all. Maybe this Acend roster is beatable after all. But Sica has managed to sneak away with the ball. Acend will take a bit of a lead here now, and Quadrant gonna have to reassess how they want to break this one down.
This Acend team are not as formidable as first feared. Cut them, and they do bleed as 2 members go down, and the ball gets played. Make it 3. Lqgend last man up, but he's over by the pipes, and he's been a real nuisance for SLG. Camouflage for TchiK. Is this the moment for Quadrant?
And whilst I will say, I think the ceiling for Acend, ever since that roster change, has got much higher. I think there is a lot of improvements to be made. This is the best chance, if ever, that you're going to take down this absolute giant roster that is Acend, this roster that has dominated European Halo for so long. And you've got to make sure you win this game if you're Quadrant, especially considering how close it is.
22 seconds to 14. TchiK, ball in hands. Camo, all out. Player contending in the back though. Lqgend reloading, sprinting straight forward, and still manages to pick up a trade. 3 go down for Quadrant. Shad down to no shields, taken care of, and Acend blow this game wide open once more.
This is the biggest difference between these two teams at the moment, is that Acend are finishing that 4th player. Quadrant have not been able to do so. Acend are in control. Acend have the setup. It seems the perfect time for an Astro listener.
One shot Mangler pitting Crosser. He's Mangler pits. I'm looking for the A guy. Yeah, I think they're gonna put goal here. Is he pipes? Nice, guy behind you. Turbine Shad, turbine. Big turbine Shad. Bottom tower and top tower. Big bottom tower. Shad's still turbine, I can grapple it. Watch my pipes.
Yeah, watching off. Triangle. I died from triangle. Alright, sweet, Shad. Hey, one guy batteries shooting at you. Batteries is going grab. He's jumping.
Yeah, watch out. I'm gonna die.
Nice. Two.
Mike, watch me.
Bridge.
Watch me.
I'm bleeding. They're gonna play for the camo though. He's one shot, but I'm in. Dead.
Watch my top goal.
I'm waiting.
Oh, on me. Whatever. On me, Sica.
Go stairs, I can't. I'm one. Go stairs, one shot. Other one, top goal.
Camo's up.
Top goal, going pipes. Yeah, we have to get this camo. Nice.
Lines of communication so clear. They leave space for one another. They seem composed here. And they have extended their lead. 66-28. Ball possession though for Quadrant. SLG quite literally has the game in his hands, and he's opted to drop it here and prioritize slaying out Lqgend. He's been successful in that task, but can he get more points on the board and cling on to this game?
Great eagle eyes from SLG. They gave up that camouflage. They knew full well it was going to push from somewhere, and they just kept tabs on where it could be coming from. They still find themselves 30 points behind, but that's some big kills. Quadrant just need to try and stay alive with this passage of play. Acend sending everything through pipes right now.
66 then to 36.
Yeah,
just under 2 minutes on the clock, and Shad desperating the ball. That will hurt your chances as you go down a member here. Sica though in trouble. Respectful finds one more shot. Picks up two though. Went down to no shields. It's criminal. He shouldn't be allowed to do it, but he's having a massive influence on this game.
Quadrant are getting caught in that passage in pipes far too much. It's so easy to nade. Again, NURIX goes down to no shields. They need a different approach. They need to go from control, which they do, and maybe send some people through Turbine now. You've got to collapse, but don't funnel yourself into grenades.
77-36, and Lqgend on his way out the door sticks one and picks up 2 kills as a result. And when kills like that start to go against you, you start to think it's not your day.
Could very easily come down to time again here, Jersey. 1 minute and 18. Acend not in possession of the ball. It's in no man's land. SLG will recover it, but he's also very vulnerable, and camouflage is coming up.
Camo and ball in the same position. Vulnerable, bottom middle, no man's land. Sica steps out. He hasn't been able to pick it up. He didn't get close enough, and he's fallen victim to NURIX. Shad picks up 2. This is Quadrant's opportunity. This is Quadrant's moment.
Camouflage, ball, all the tools you need. 50 seconds remaining. Get it to blue, get it to elevator. It doesn't matter, get it somewhere where you can get a setup on the go. You're 30 points behind, and you had camo, but Snipedrone with the shot of the century to rip camo right off his face.
This hold has to be good. The issue is nobody holding sightlines. Ball has been dropped. Snipedrone punches a hole in the defense once more and gets 2.
Massive from Snipedrone. Not only kills the camo, goes in, gets a double. 38 seconds left on the clock. 20 points separate the two. Ball has been reset. Quadrant are spawning 4 up on both sides. This could determine the game right here, right now. And Acend 2 dead.
Sica desperately trying to stay alive, getting behind 1. Elbow to the spine. SLG takes care of him. 3 dead momentarily for Acend. Quadrant have 1 more bite at this.
Here comes Snipedrone. Here comes the boy you need to step up. Shad trying to rotate it down to elevator. Does he have spawners? Yes, he does. NURIX needs to win. Quadrant on the comeback here in Acend. They're starting to realize they have to get these kills.
They're rolling here, but they need to hold. They need more guns in the fight. They're not going to come. They go 3 dead. Make it 4. 7 seconds the difference now. And all Quadrant needed to do was hold. But Acend can play Slayer from here on out.
It's a last desperate push. It's going to be through pipes, but you don't have the time without a grapple. Tick it over. Quadrant go down. Acend take game number 4 and go 3-1 up in the grand finals.
It wasn't pretty at times, but Acend keep on doing Acend type things. They win close games. They win close series, and they're now on match point.
It seems to happen every single game type. As soon as you think you're back in it against Acend, they just rip it straight out of your palms. Quadrant did so well to work their way back into it, to tie up the series, and even come back into that final round to put themselves within 7 seconds, but it's just that one last final push, that clutch moment that separates Acend from the rest of Europe right now.
Ascend again, looking relaxed, leaning back in chairs. Here's the tail of a tape. What a monster game from Sica. Shad, very similar indeed. But Respectful had some more huge moments, and Lqgend, 39 kills as well. They were all putting up frags.
Sica was sublime in that game. The amount of camouflages he got and what he did with those camouflages really sets him apart from the rest of the team in that game in particular. Even though the damage very similar, it was the amount of clutch plays he was able to provide, the amount of times he got behind the ball guy, assassinated, picked up another kill, and either then gained ball time or just tossed that ball out into no man's land. Really, if you watch that game back from Sica's point of view, it was absolutely beautiful.
We have just had 3 rounds of oddball, and in total, after the game, these two teams were separated by just 28 seconds. But again, as it so often does, it falls to the purple.
And it doesn't matter if Ascend win by 100 points or 20 points. As long as they get that victory, as long as they get the series, they will become the champions of Europe here in Valencia. But they still have to get one more map. As we look back at some of these highlights, I'm sure we're going to see a lot of camo assassinations, camo kills. There we go, just as I say it. Sica doing what Sica did best. This was a big one as well. No play ball. I know it didn't make a major difference in the grand scheme of things, but these were the kind of things that Sica was able to do against Quadrant.
It's not the implications of him not playing that ball. That's not what the main problem was. It was the decision not to play the ball. It could have amounted in 1 second or 50 seconds. At the end of the day, they're just not making those right decisions.
It's just little tiny mistakes. And it's these mistakes we very rarely see Ascend make, but it has to be said, they've been coming here or there, and Quadrant have taken advantage of them, but perhaps just a couple more mistakes on the side of Quadrant, which is why Ascend are winning by very narrow margins. It had to be said, this has not been a blowout. This has not been Ascend dominating Quadrant by any means. I think Quadrant have given a fantastic effort so far, and that's why we're still alive in this series. That's why it's 3-1 heading into Game 5.
Slayer Catalyst is going to be our Game 5. Dan, talk to me about Quadrant's chances.
What a game to have as Game 5 here. I think that we've heard from enough of the pros that not everyone knows how to play this one. Some people don't like it that much, but you've got to play it now in a grand final. And if I'm Quadrant, I'm saying, okay, this is our best chance, if any, to maybe disrupt an Ascend roster who have said live on stream, Respectful said in his interview, we have not practiced Catalyst Slayer. If I'm Quadrant, I'm saying, okay, let's take advantage of that. Where are their weaknesses? What did we see them fail at earlier when they were playing it? And it was sending too many individuals down for flanks. It was not pairing up enough. It was not prioritizing the overshield enough. So Quadrant, that's the key things they need to be hitting here. Get that overshield, stick together, punish this Ascend roster.
Is the pressure now off Ascend? They're on match point. They have an insurance policy of a bracket reset. It is Quadrant now who have to make moves, because if they do not, if they fail here, they will bow out in second place, and Ascend will take grand finals.
Quadrant have to essentially reverse sweep. I know it's not going to be a complete one, but they have to win 3 on the trot. But it has to start here. First overshield, though. I talk about prioritization. It just about slips off the map. Good body language from the Spartan there to turn away.
Turns away, tosses that overshield off. We will not be seeing it here and now. Opening kills, though. It's a 1-kill advantage. The shape of Quadrant. TchiK tries to soar towards the heavens, but 2 go down. And Lqgend desperately trying to escape with his life. And NURIX looking to chase, but will that catch him out? It doesn't this time. He doesn't pay. We're all tied up.
And where's the sword? That's my question. Is it still on the map? Has anyone picked it up? Because that was the difference maker when Ascend played earlier on in this tournament, and when they lost, it was about 50 to 30 something, so they did go down quite heavily. They were getting sliced and diced. So if I'm Quadrant, get that sword, punish Ascend, make sure you're using it to your best effect.
The opportunities here for Quadrant to get right back into this series. They have to be ready to seize and capture it, though. And that sword you were asking questions about, it's in the hands of Shad. Can he be an influence? And as soon as we switch over, the curse of the commentator rings through.
You've got a big responsibility when you have that sword. Not only have you got to get kills, you've got to stay alive so you don't pass it to the other team. Similarly to the skewer here for SLG. He will fall, but at least there is a trade, and at least Quadrant know where that skewer is going to be falling.
Skewer down. Will not play a part, at least for now. He has not conveyed the information, and if he has, Quadrant are not prioritizing it here, opting for the gunfights. Bottom ramp, Snipedrone Banks an nade up, sword though in his hands, overshield about to pop up. Quadrant with a 2-kill slender lead. TchiK secures the overshield, picks back up the grapple, and he wants a fist fight.
Take advantage of this now. You've got power weapons, you've got the power-ups, you've got all the tools you need to try and get a big old lead. As long as you don't get back-whacked, which he won't, but he needs a little bit of support here, does TchiK. It's 14-9, and they're starting to take a very commanding lead here.
Stays alive. It's a 5-kill lead. Snipedrone still over there being a nuisance, a thorn in the side. He goes down eventually. Currently on 0-4, you have to feel that is why we see Quadrant with such a lead. TchiK hitting those shots. 6 kills the difference now. Can Quadrant build on this, or will they leave the door slightly ajar?
It's something that Acend were guilty of earlier, and it was just chasing kills a little bit too much and also getting singled out, individuals running into fights perhaps they shouldn't, and Quadrant, they're sticking together a little bit better. TchiK completely saving his teammate who was one shot, and here's Lqgend again on his own, and if he goes down, this is going to be same old story. He has to be listening to the rest of the team. He has to be staying with the rest of the team.
Well, speaking of listening, let's see if Quadrant are doing that with their communication. We have an Astro listening.
Je suis à gauche, je suis à gauche.
Je suis
Je peux les collapse.
à ton pilier l'eau.
Attends, pilier l'eau. Il va tomber.
Sur toi.
Moi, jette sur moi. Mort.
Nice, bien joué.
Encore un sur moi, encore un sur moi.
Encore un sur Shad et les deux.
J'arrive, Shad. Il y en a un green. Il est one shot.
Il est one.
Attends, je suis coach. One shot, le pilier gauche.
Je vais pull score.
Spoon green. Over dans 25. Spoon green. Je vais essayer de jouer le score, c'est un peu tard, mais.
Je les mets green.
J'ai pas.
Ouais, green, ça joue sur vous.
J'ai score.
Je respecte.
S2,
Moi je te respecte en dark. De votre
Tout seul,
côté.
on est 3.
Ouais, et essayez de push de l'autre côté, ils sont deux sur moi.
Allez, c'est sur moi. Ça push en green, ça push en green.
Over a joué dans 10.
Il y en a en haut. Oui, sur moi. Les gens bien touchés avec un réponse.
Il y a un mec en green 2. Green 2 one shot. Green à mort.
Mais ça se tire sur ma croix à prendre d'ailleurs.
Over a joué. Le pit sur toi, Sica.
One shot, Sica. Encore un grande porte. Retourne à Polo, il est one shot. Il y a absolute. Il y a un mec grande porte, qui a peut-être encore Victor sur Polo.
Quadrant have put some real breathing space between them and Acend now, and they keep securing these overshields. This is far better from Quadrant.
This is far better, and it's a very big lead, but of course you've got to be careful. We've seen leads like this thrown away on Catalyst Slayer. It can be such a swingy game type when that sword is in the hands of your opposition. So if you're Quadrant, you've got to make sure you keep that sword in your possession, or if it's not, get that repulsor, get that sword away from you, otherwise that will happen, but now it's in their possession.
They have got to minimize risk. They cannot throw away lives frivolously here. 8 kills the lead. Can they build upon this? And furthermore, can they build in the series? They're starting to heat up. It's at the right possible time, the last possible time. They cannot drop any more games here.
SOG gets taken down. Sword in the hands now of Acend. And we are going to see a chance for Acend to get back in this game. And I will say, if Lqgend starts playing with the rest of this team, then Quadrant should be worried, because then the team shot will start coming to effect. Maybe some of these slays go in their favor, where previously they wouldn't have. It's only a 5-kill game. That big lead is being chopped away by Acend.
And when you have such a big lead, and you see it disappearing right before your very eyes, you start to make different decisions.
Hip.
And TchiK with the sword. Respectful with the sword. One has repulsor, one has grapple. They're controlling the sandbox. And Respectful drives the sword straight through NURIX's heart.
That's perfect for TchiK. He takes down the other sword player with a couple of grenades. I'd say repulsor probably beats grapple in a game of grapple, repulsor, and scissors. I didn't know the third one, so I just went with scissors.
Drop shield?
Drop shield probably would have been the wise decision, but it's okay. My brain doesn't work quick enough. 35, make it 36. Killing spree for TchiK.
10 kills then. They need to hold out. Still remains at 10. 2 members go down for Acend. They're leaving it on the table again, and Quadrant are hungry.
Quadrant are so hungry. You can see it by the way they're moving around this map together. They're not allowing Acend to escape. This is what went wrong in Recharge. The 4th player would get away as one shot. Quadrant weren't quite finishing those kills. They have been finishing those kills here in Slayer, in a game type where you have to.
We had a brief listen in. The communication seemed much better. It was less frantic. It was controlled. It was precise.
One day I'm going to learn French. Because if the French players are going to dominate the European scene and we're having these listen-ins, someone's got to be able to relay these things.
Rosetta Stone will be our best friend. 2 kills once more go in Quadrant's favor. 42 kills now to 29, and they can start to just breathe a sigh of relief, but they can't do it too much. We've seen comebacks like this.
Yeah, don't take your foot off that gas pedal whatsoever, otherwise Acend will take advantage of it, and they will get back into this game. We know Acend are shaky on this game type, though. Quadrant would have been confident. Sword in the hands of Snipedrone, and he's got the skewer as well. This is a big old combo to be working with. A lot of responsibility in his hands.
2 kills have gone in their favor as well.
There we go.
Sword dropped. He opts to keep the skewer. He hasn't got a battle rifle, so if he misses, he has to get out of dodge. Commando will be scooped up, and that can be a difficult weapon to master at times. But no doubt, he has the ability to use it if he so requires. The issue we have here is Acend. They're completely separated. They're scattered.
You want to try and keep as much distance between yourself and that skewer. Remember, it's a projectile weapon, so you have to lead those shots if you are firing from a distance. Snipedrone trying to close the gap ever so slightly. Not just with the skewer, but also in this game! Oh! And that's what you need to be doing to try and get your team back into the game. 9 kills now, make it 10 once more. Quadrant only 3 away.
Snipedrone driving stakes through Quadrant. They're not vampires, they limp through though. 3 kills left. Can Quadrant secure them and push this series even further? Sica down to no shields, as is Shad, but he comes out on top once more. Little mistakes like that, we only need one. Snipedrone's the last man standing, no longer. This series is 3-2. Quadrant get right back into things.
Quadrant stay alive. The first piece of the puzzle has been placed, and they require 2 more if they're to win this series. They require another series if they're to win this tournament. But first, you have to approach this bridge before you think about the second. A very successful and well-played game there on Catalyst, taking advantage of the same mistakes we saw earlier from Acend. Clearly, they're not comfortable in that game type, but that's okay if you're Acend. You can have those 1 or 2 games that maybe you're not so comfortable on, but you need to make up for it in game number 6. Otherwise, things start to look a little bit scary.
Now we're starting to learn. Catalyst Slayer, perhaps an Achilles heel of Acend. Do they have more? And the question is the next one that Quadrant can take?
I think Quadrant and the Quadrant fans and TchiK's parents who are in the audience are all hoping so. And I think any fans of Halo in general may be hoping so as well, because I'm sure they'd love to see a reset. But first, they'd have to win that Game 6 before even thinking about Game 7 and a reset. There's the stats on your screen. 15 kills for Shad. I've got to say, he did step up. A lot of overshields that he had to work with. The prioritization was on point for this Quadrant roster. 4.6k damage. You can't argue against that.
So Acend make this series even more interesting. 3-2. They've given one away here. But remember, they remain on match point. They just need to win one of these next 2.
Oh, Acend put themselves in the best position possible where they can give away a Slayer and they can go back into an objective. We always say, oh yeah, Slayers, they can be won by the lower seed. Sometimes it's going to be advantage for the lower seed. Well, Acend, they need to prove that now as they go into this objective game. They can't afford a mistake. They can't afford to allow Quadrant to gain any sort of momentum. Shut it down now, win this tournament. Otherwise, you do give that path to victory back to your opponents.
We spoke about exploiting the weaknesses of Acend. And up next, we've got Strongholds live fire. Now, the issue is, Dan, I know how good this Acend roster is on this.
That's true, but that being said, I also know how good Quadrant are on this. This is going to be a very fast-paced game, a lot of rotations, trying to kind of out-rotate your opponent. When they go to C, you go to A, but a big old battle over towards B. Very much so. And that overshield is going to be so important for the team's chances to be winning this one. You've got to make sure you're prioritizing it, even if it means sacrificing a little bit of Stronghold's team here or there.
I'm willing to listen to you if you tell me Quadrant are going to win this next game, but tell me how.
Quadrant are going to win this next game by out-rotating Acend, by shutting them down when the likes of Lqgend are getting a little bit too fast compared to the rest of their team. Just what happened in Catalyst. He was pushing on his own. He was caught in 1v2s. If you're able to set those traps and almost wait for him, let's say you've got B and C, send someone to wait just at A or wait at C, and when he does rotate early, you win that 1v1. You put your team in a 4 versus 3, and then suddenly you can then get a trip cap, or you can rotate and keep that double cap. It gets very difficult for Acend if they are constantly in a 3 versus 4. On the side of Acend, You can't afford for that to happen. You can't afford for Lqgend to be getting in too many of those situations and pushing ahead of himself. Granted, he doesn't do it as often on other game types. I think that Catalyst is a little bit of an outlier, but it certainly can happen here or there.
Now, we spoke about the positives and the negatives that Respectful brings, and you speak about, rightfully so, how Lqgend was the first pick oftentimes in that Slayer Catalyst. Before, the criticism of Shady was he was the first kill. Is Lqgend starting to feel now that his long-term duo has now gone, and all of a sudden he finds that he's the fastest player, he's the first one forward, but he doesn't have the help?
That's the thing, they did work well together as a two. Shady would fly in, Lqgend would fly in afterwards, but they both fly in together. One of the criticisms of Respectful was he was a little bit slow for Na'Vi at times. He wouldn't be engaged in that fight. And even though I think Respectful's had a bloody brilliant tournament, don't get me wrong, there is going to be a slight change of playstyle there. And certainly Lqgend needs to recognize that. And on Catalyst in particular, he was far too quick for the rest of his team. So now going into Strongholds Recharge, which is a very fast-paced game, don't get me wrong. So I think that perhaps him getting quick, him getting in the face of his opponents could certainly work. Someone's got to join him. I'm looking at Sica. He has been absolutely on fire. He has been slaying his heart out. He has been destroying his opposition in 1v1s. Just go and join Lqgend. If you're Lqgend, just make sure you're giving a call saying, hey guys, I'm flying, someone come with me.
Quadrant then. Conversations being made. Strategizing, no doubt. What can we do to win this game and push this series a distance? They have it all to do. And on the other side of things, so much experience. Respectful and Snipedrone, we talked about it all weekend long. They are champions in Europe. They've been there, they've done it. Can Quadrant apply pressure to the players, perhaps, who have not been in this situation before?
Are we going to see the likes of Lqgend and Sica struggle because they're on match point, because they are so close to tasting that trophy? I don't know if they're going to eat the trophy later, I would hope not. It's a very nice trophy. I've seen you trying to steal it a couple of times.
That wasn't me.
Keep your hands off it. Are they going to let the situation get the better of them here? Or are we going to see Acend finally get over the finish line here and win this series, win this tournament, and shut down this possible Quadrant comeback?
What a statement it would be for Quadrant here to take this game, and all of a sudden, doubt starts to creep in. Acend remain on match point. They have another opportunity, but Quadrant still stand in the way.
Historically, Acend have dominated this game type, not just in Europe, but in international competition. You may say this is their best chance as ever to win this tournament. Quadrant have got it all to do.
Shields up, weapons hot. We're underway once more in grand finals of HCS Valencia. Are Acend about to be champions, or will Quadrant make it even more difficult?
Such a good starting strategy from Acend. Clearly they've done their homework. The grenades ripped the shields from Quadrant, and they're forced to back off. Acend were prepared for that one. This is why Acend are such a difficult team to beat, because they pull things like that out when you least expect it.
Acend reading the game perfectly then. Opening engagements have gone their way. NURIX down to no shields, down to no life. You'll have to watch from the respawn screen for now. Overshield picked up by Respectful. They're starting to put it all together already. The ingredients are in their favor, and they've got a triple cap for now.
This is going to be a heavy scoring period for Acend. Trip cap, and they've got Quadrant at back tower. Quadrant off spawn, desperately trying to do something. It looks like they're going to have to step their foot into B, but now they know where SLG is. Now they can collapse, and this is what Acend do best. They are ruthless when they're in control.
Quadrant have B. They're going for A. The Slays have got to come their way. Sica's the opening pick. SLG wants more, and he gets more. A and B in their control. That triple cap is not going to be as lethal as we first feared.
A huge kill from SLG. You need your big player to step up in Game 6. SLG on his own at B, has to win the engagement, does so, but you don't want to get overconfident. Perfect from SLG. Retreat, defend B, this is your responsibility right now.
Perfect game sense from SLG. Has already registered 5 kills to his name. With Shad yet to register a kill, they need SLG to do as much damage as he can. Repulsor v Repulsor here. He gets the kill and the killing spree. And he's brought Quadrant right back into things when they've gone down 3.
He also brought Acend all the way back to C, which has allowed TchiK to get over to Overshield, but the clamber leaves him vulnerable. Snipedrone goes down though. Quadrant need this Ovi. They need to pop it. Shad does do so. This is perfect for Quadrant. This is great for their chances to get back into things.
Bodies are hitting the floor. Shad has the overshield. What's the call though? Plasma Pistol's going to swing and miss on Sica. But somehow he's milking this life for as long as possible. And he's completely eliminated the overshield. A massive blunder.
Man was clicking in his right analog stick a little bit too many times, and a couple of zooms just sent him into wayward situation. But Quadrant still were able to get some points on the board, but now here comes Acend back with their aggression. B now being taken by Quadrant, and Quadrant have all 4 up. This is going to be such a quick and scrappy game.
It's a brawl. It's a war on live fire. And TchiK picks up one more, but he's the last man standing. And his compatriot eliminates him from the equation as SLG stands back up from respawn, but has to wait for his team. A, B, and indeed C are in trouble of being converted.
They are going to flip. They will know they're at A. Sniper is up, but no one's brave enough to go for it just yet. No one wants to take it off that pad, but of course TchiK goes for it, and he will get punished for doing so. 89 to 55. Acend starting to create a little bit of a gap once more, and it goes into the hands of Snipedrone, does the sniper rifle.
TchiK, like a magpie attracted to shiny things, goes for the sniper rifle, and Snipedrone says thank you very much with the sniper rifle on the end of a fishing rod, and he catches himself a big one. SLG is completely unaware of where Snipedrone is, but who's going to come out on top? Somehow it's a trade. Sniper goes down, and it's in the hands of NURIX.
Snipedrone maybe trying to be a little bit too clever, a little bit too patient with his trigger discipline. And that could be a little bit of an opening for Quadrant to work with, but they're having a big old fight over towards A. NURIX also in an engagement that's very important he wins over at B.
And Acend need 139 points, and they will be European champions. But it's a triple cap for Quadrant. Snipedrone has the overshield, but he has to get to work.
And he is getting to work. He's trying to hold C. They will capture C. Acend, they gave up a little bit of control so they could get this overshield, but now you've got to put it to work, as you say. A and C back in their control. Acend starting to score once more. Even though Quadrant are doing so well, Richie, to keep Acend at bay, keep them at arm's length, Acend are always there to just score again.
2 down for Acend. A and B in control for Quadrant. Things moving in the right direction. But for how long? SLG secures one more. And the 2 Britons were in the respawn screen for a moment. Snipedrone inside of A. 1v1 with SLG. And the Englishman's on top. But the damage has been done. A momentary triple cap. But all of a sudden Acend sneak into A and indeed B.
Who's there to fight B? No one. Okay, Quadrant give it up. They have to spawn C, and once more they allow Acend to start scoring. And their plan of attack has to either be rotate and try and prioritize A, or push towards B. You can't go for second measures. You can't split here. You need to be working as a team and all going for the same thing.
A and B remain locked in tight. Quadrant have to come and take them. Opening picks, traded back and forth. Repulsor in Sica's hands if he needs it. He doesn't on this occasion as he takes care of Shad before getting eliminated himself. 2 down for Quadrant. Make it 3 as the Acend hold stands strong and TchiK is eliminated.
Snipedrone's just done God's work at B, and his reward, Merry Christmas, it's going to be a sniper rifle. A and B still in control. Scoring starting to get out of control now here if you're looking from a Quadrant point of view. New snipes coming up, new overshield's going to be spawning as well, and Acend have their sights on it. Bang!
Oh! Snipedrone! Welcome back! A and B still remain in control. NURIX with the overshield. And Acend can start to smell the championship.
They really can. Quadrant have to try and shut down this momentum
somehow.
And NURIX lets Lqgend rip him to pieces. And still that score is ticking up. Quadrant just can't slow it down. As soon as they step into a hill, Acend are there time and time again.
NURIX has had 2 overshields. On both occasions, he's been put into a blender. And when you're in grand finals, you need to utilize all these weapons. More of this from TchiK, please, because Quadrant are in big, big trouble.
Big, big trouble, but at least they're scoring temporarily. Sure, you lose the sniper rifle, but you can at least reposition now. Only 2 players up, so it has to be you go towards B, you fight sandbags. The drop wall is going to do you wonders here if you're NURIX, but that's good communication, turning and helping.
190 to 100. They continue to score to Acend. All this pressure the Quadrant is applying means nothing right now because they will continue to score until this very point. as now Quadrant start to turn the gears, and they're desperately trying to flip the momentum back in their favor.
Respectful has the sniper rifle. NURIX is trying to keep tabs on this side of the map, and he's trying to find Respectful, which he does so. B and C still in control. A's being contested, but that's where Acend is spawning. Quadrant now know which angles they need to be watching here.
This is your moment, Quadrant. You can ill afford to make any more mistakes, because a couple more are going to be deadly to your championship ambitions. And Snipedrone stepped into B, but he's going to lose A in the process. They're looking to flip once more. And here comes the Quadrant push.
Acend back in control, 3 seconds to overshield. This is going to be a big old fight. Acend get the first, Quadrant try and reply. NURIX is left in no man's land. And if Acend get this overshield, you might have to start etching their name into that trophy already. But Shad steals it away.
Shad, under the cover of darkness, pops into his chest, and Lqgend recognizes this and tries to run. Respectful back tower down to no shields. Will be removed, will be cleared. 200-4 to 132 here, and B and C back in Quadrant's favor, but they need to hold now.
B and C are still in control. Acend desperately trying to break through, but Shad is holding strong with the grenades. This is a perfect period of play here for Quadrant. 2 alive for Acend. They're spawning over towards dummies. This is good. You keep B and C. You've got to win your fights, but you've also got to stay alive.
This is perfect. Apply maximum pressure to Acend now. Make them desperate. Make them hungry. Make them step out of line. You're closing the gap. 2 slays go in your favor. You're taking A, but you're losing B. You will continue to score. The next few slays have got to go in your favor.
Sica and Lqgend, the 2 inexperienced, as it were, when it comes to LAN performances. They're at B. They're trying to hold B. Can they successfully do so? Right now, it doesn't look like it. A and C still in control for Quadrant. If they get these kills, if they get this fourth, Acend are all 4 down, and Quadrant are coming right back into it.
Roaring back to life then. NURIX has the sniper rifle, and he's got intent, deadly intent in his eyes. But the call has come from Acend. They're going to look to hit C here. It's got to be perfect because Quadrant are breathing down their necks.
Lqgend was on his own at bottom middle, but he does get the kill onto SLG. It's a 2 versus 2. NURIX desperately trying to help. Has to get this kill onto Respectful. Cannot afford to die! And it's a double with the grenade! B, C, and A in control for Quadrant.
Quadrant then, asking questions of Acend we didn't think possible here in Game 6, as they desperately try to push this series even further. 230 to 204, and another overshield.
Overshield can do so much now. Shad's got a lot of responsibility here. They're still scoring. Acend are reeling. The comeback is happening.
Acend on the ropes, but they're in A and B. Overshield player will descend. They flipped it once more. They control A and C, and Acend are in big, big trouble here on pushing this series even further. 250, and Quadrant will make us go the distance.
We're going to a Game 7 in the Grand Finals, and Quadrant have the comeback of all comebacks. They've done the unthinkable, and they have shut down Acend on one of their best game types.
Incredible. All of a sudden, Acend find themselves in deep, deep water. Quadrant are making them feel all too uncomfortable. This is not a situation they have found themselves in ever before. Game 7 Slayer. They lose this, and all of a sudden, with the bracket reset, the chances are increased for Quadrant to take this.
But how many times have we been in this situation, Richie, where Acend, they go into a Game 5, they go into a Game 7, but time and time again, they get the job done. We take a quick look at the stats. It's an incredible amount of damage from Quadrant. Everyone playing their part. As for Acend, boy, did they let that one slip through their fingers. That's exactly what we were talking about. You've got 2 boys who have not really been in this position before when it comes to a LAN environment and a grand final. Is the pressure starting to get to them? Can Quadrant take full advantage of this? Or can Acend get over that final hurdle like they've done so many times before?
They've been here. This has been threatened. They've always had the answer. When it's come to the Slayer, Na'Vi tried, they failed, 50-30. Quadrant, will they face the same fate? Because Acend remain on championship point.
The players take a breather, and Street Slayer is where we head for game number 7. Acend have never played Street Slayer with Respectful. Believe that if you will. They've never scrimmed it, they haven't played it at this tournament, and that is a worrying sign for this Acend roster. Quadrant have got their best chance to try and take this series and take us to a reset.
Hunger, passion, desire. Which of these two wants it more? Will Quadrant push us even further? Or will we be crowning a European champion after this Slayer?
Here we go then. Are we going to another best of 7? Are Acend going to be champions? Who has got the bottle to actually pick up some kills? It's Lqgend who gets a double to start with. Snipedrone follows up, and it looks like that extended break has very much favored Acend here.
Okay. No need to panic. It's 5-0. Rockets in the hands of Respectful. But Quadrant, what have you got now? The opening strats did not go your way. The kills continue to go against you. 7-0. What a start from the champions-elect.
A lot of Quadrant players getting caught out at the moment. Individuals getting singled out. Not a kill dropped yet by this Acend roster. 9-0. They're angry. They're hungry. It's 10. And Quadrant are falling to pieces here on the main stage.
Starving are Acend, and they're feasting on Quadrant right now. The words of Snipedrone, the game has started. Show us something, Quadrant. You're on life support already. It's a long road back. We need something.
Finally, a couple of kills. Quadrant, they waited in station, they took their time, they tried to relax and say, okay, let's try and strategize here. But Respectful makes it 14. Is this the beginning of the end now after such a long and difficult fight for Quadrant? Are they going to be pummeled into the ground by Acend?
The worst possible start, catastrophic for the ambitions of Quadrant. 16 kills to 5. We're going to see another set of rockets, and Quadrant need these.
Snipedrone, a European champion, but he hasn't tasted a LAN victory in quite some time. And at the moment, that's where it looks like it might be heading. But SLG, someone who has always been the bridesmaid, never the bride, he would love to make a comeback. Remember, in Game 6, Quadrant were down a lot, and they did come back into it. It is not out of the realms of possibility. 8 kills the difference now. It's starting to look better for Quadrant. They're starting to come to life.
They found their feet. They've steadied the ship for now. They were drowning for a moment. But Acend do not let their foot off the gas. They continue to drive forward. They're pressing the foot against the Quadrant neck. Is this the end, or will we see Quadrant bounce back?
This is just such a slow game at the moment. Because of that incredible start by Acend, Quadrant are playing a little bit scared. They're reluctant to push out. They're trying to strategize in a way they can push together, but that does leave them vulnerable to this, to the collapse. Sica pushes in, the Bulldog does the work, and it's a 9-kill lead.
Every time you play slow, you open up the map. It's an invitation to the team to control the sandbox, the Bulldog, the Rockets. All of these things amount to free, easy kills, and Quadrant need to get the grips of this game because it's slipping through their fingers.
Think about how long Snipedrone watched the likes of Jimbo, Kimbo, picking up those trophies, winning those tournaments for Europe. And finally, Snipedrone finds himself back on top with an online competition. And now he has the chance to do it on LAN alongside an old buddy, an old partner, which is Respectful, and 2 new-blooded players. And they are so close already, but you've got to be focused. You've got to make sure you do not let this one slip. This is the biggest lead we've seen so far on a Slayer Streets this tournament.
Concentration so important. Complacency can't creep in. They've got to maintain this dominance. Rocket's about to pop. It's an 8-kill game. They need to get these boomsticks, and they need them quickly to Quadrant, but the first pick has gone against them. Make it 2, and that's going to mean Respectful picks them up once more. Riding already on the wall as one gets secured. Fires one into tires. And it doesn't even need to connect.
Quadrant need an all 4 dead on the side of Acend if they are going to get back into this. But the speed of which Acend are collapsing and pushing and frustrating Quadrant, it is almost impossible for them to strategize at this point. Lqgend is flying at them. Snipedrone dealing damage from every angle. And whatever corner you turn, Acend are waiting. Acend are thriving. Acend are ascending.
This break, what a momentum killer it was for Quadrant. Well needed for Acend as they lost back-to-back games. But they're roaring back to life now. 36-24. Quadrant are on the ropes and Acend are lining up that killer blow.
13 kills remain. Quadrant, what is left in the tank? They've had to put so much into these games. Strategy has been thrown out the window from what I've seen. They've not really been able to prioritize these areas, but a big set of 2 kills. If they can consistently be trading 3v1, there's still a chance they can get back into this game. 37-29, 8 kills separate them. 2 sets of 4 slays and you are back in this game.
Not the slays we focused on now. They have 13 more lives, 12 opportunities to keep themselves in this game. Sica backs away, reading the game perfectly. It is them who hold the advantage. Quadrant have to come to them. They need to make the mistakes. The Sentinel beam will not do the damage. 39 now to 31. Quadrant eking their way back in.
Sica was unhappy that they even dropped the game in this tournament, and he wants to make a statement. Hold this, NURIX! 40-33, Acend 10 kills away, but Quadrant slowly but surely sneaking back into this game. A set of rockets could really change things. We're down to 5, and SLG's got them.
6 kills, make them 5.
Oh,
SLG! No! Will that be the one? Will that be the swing and the miss? There remains a 5-kill game. Opportunity still there for Quadrant.
Quadrant were down 11-0. They're trying to bring it back. They're doing what they can. TchiK stays alive. It's 5 still. Quadrant have got to be patient, though. They can't afford to be throwing away unnecessary deaths.
This next pick is going to be so important. If Quadrant can manage to secure it, do they fly? They need to pressure here. They can ill afford now to slow down.
When you speak of pressure, remember what Respectful said on the desk. I don't feel pressure. My team doesn't feel pressure. Prove it right now. 5-kill advantage, 6 kills to go. You've got the experience. You've won the championships. Bring your team that victory. He connects with 1 and he's pushing it.
Bulldog, 3 left in the chamber. That's the end of Respectful's run, but he's done enough. And Acend only require 3 more now as Quadrant dropping like flies.
Respectful's experience gains the entry, provides the position for Snipedrone to pick up another. 3 away, as you say. Quadrant need 10. This is not an easy feat, but still doable at the moment, but 48, they're so close.
6 kills the difference. Make it 5 once more, but Shad's in a world of hurt. And Lqgend soars out front base. That grenade will not connect. 4 the difference. But Acend need 2.
Shad's still alive. He gets his shields back. This is still doable. Acend have to be careful. They've thrown away 1 game already this series. They're backing off. They're looking a little bit scared. Rockets are up.
These next set of rockets are huge, but Shad's gone down, and TchiK could be there to join them. The trade comes, but Acend win game 7, and they secure the championship.
Months of domination online. Questions were asked, can they do it on land? They were pushed to the very brink, but they get the job done. A fantastic effort from Quadrant, but it's the same old story. Acend dominate Europe.
And you can see how much it means to them, elation. And on the other side, it'll be dejection. SLG once more has to settle for 2nd place, but Respectful and co, they're back on top.
Shad and Lqgend, they get that first ever LAN victory. It's 2nd place again for Quadrant. They're left asking questions of what would happen if we had won that oddball game that was so close. But it's a game 7, it's a game 5, it's what Acend do best. They clutch up when they need to. And they get their heavy share of $100,000 as well. $36,000 to split between them. And that is definitely worth all of their efforts this weekend.
Game 7, they shot out the blocks. 10 kills unanswered. And that was the difference. Quadrant on the back foot, desperately trying to claw their way back into the game. But it was a feat that was too far.
And what a moment this is going to be for some of these young men. That trophy on the stage that they'll get to lift. And Respectful's done it before, but there's 2 boys who haven't.
And Acend, they've risen to the top. From cartel, from rags to riches, Acend are your European HCS Valencia champions.
What a feeling this is going to be for the Acend boys, and I've got to say, it only feels right to see them lift that trophy after such an exceptional season they have had already. The Pro Series after Pro Series after Pro Series that they have won, only dropping the ball 1 time. It wouldn't feel right if they didn't lift that trophy on LAN in our first all-European event this season. I mean, what an exceptional result from the boys. And KotH, you know, they're going to be on top of the world right now. What is this going to do for their confidence heading into Orlando?